In the woods will be with you always. She's your destiny.
I met a witcher. He saved my life. Now fetch him an ale before he goes to sun. Hey, butcher! Butcher! Where are you going?
People linked by destiny will always find each other.
Who is Yennefer?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my video for The Witcher Netflix back half of the season, the ending. I'll do a separate video about season 2, so don't worry about that. But if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. They've already renewed the show for season 2. They'll start shooting it next year. But obviously, spoiler warning for everything from Witcher episodes 5 through 8. Pretty short season, but we'll do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs as we go along, starting with number 10. Geralt saves Yennefer from the djinn with his last wish. I already talked a little bit about this in my last video, so I'll go into slightly different details during this, but the whole idea was that Yennefer thought that she'd be able to trap the djinn in her form and use its power to heal herself so that she'd eventually be able to have children if she wanted to. The reason why Yennefer can't have children, though, is because they surgically removed her ability to have children, burning her ovaries on the pyre and using the magical energy that created to cast the enchantments that made her look beautiful. But it's Geralt's wish that binds their fates together magically, intertwining their destinies, so he saves her with his last wish. It's from a short story in the books called The Last Wish. The magic of the wish just causes their destinies to be intertwined. No one is really sure exactly what the words he spoke were that caused their destinies to be intertwined, but however he worded it, however the djinn interpreted that and then executed the wish, the magic of that is what causes their destinies to be connected forever. That's why later in the season, when they run into each other on the dragon adventure, she says, "There's so few witchers in the world, why do I keep running into you everywhere I go?" It's the magic of the wish that keeps bringing them back together, no matter how many times they're driven apart. So number 9, WTF, obviously, Geralt saves the golden dragon's life and the baby dragon egg. This is from a short story in the books called The Bounds of Reason, which appears during the book Sword of Destiny. But Geralt is hired by Borch 3 Jackdaws to go kill a dragon. Come to find out, most of you probably figured this out pretty early on with the way they were seeding clues, that Borch himself is the dragon, and a golden dragon at that. It's no accident that he hunts Geralt down to try and find him to hire him for this, because Borch, the dragon, however you want to think about him, had heard the stories that were being told about Geralt, the White Wolf. You could thank Jaskier a little bit for that too. That's a bit of a funny callback to him, the bard, singing all those songs and crazy tales about Geralt and how good he was. Everyone post all your memes about tossing coins to witchers.
Respect doesn't make history.
Toss a coin to your witcher, oh valley of plenty, oh valley of plenty, oh.
You notice that he's wearing a dragon skin vest, and when he's having conversations with him around the campfire, specifically with Geralt, he's really just feeding Geralt questions so that he'll give him answers and give him a sense for what Geralt's personality is like. Does he really care about dragons? Is he really a good person? And through Geralt's explanation, he explains that dragons aren't evil, they've been hunted to extinction, so it winds up confirming a lot of the good things that he heard about Geralt, making him feel a lot better about him helping save him from the other hunters. There's also the line about golden dragons being a rare mutation, so this is meant to sort of give them some sort of connection because Geralt himself is the product of a mutation, just like the golden dragon. There were a couple big changes to the way the book version of this story played out, but for the most part, it all ends up in the same place. The dragon then tells Yennefer and Geralt that their destinies will be forever intertwined, but Yennefer will never be able to have a child herself no matter what she does, and Geralt will eventually lose Yennefer. But the thing about that, prophecy is a tricky thing. If you've watched Game of Thrones, you know this. You should never interpret those things quite so literally. So like the magic of the last wish will still bring them together no matter how many times they're driven apart. But like at the end of this episode, she's like, you've lost me. I'm gone. I'm out of here. But the magic of the wish will cause that to not stick. Eventually, they'll run into each other, probably during season 2, because they don't meet each other before the end of this season again. But also, even though Yennefer will never be able to biologically have her own child, she will become the mother figure for another child on the TV show. Number 8, Geralt tries to claim Ciri through the Law of Surprise. We'll see how that goes. So Ciri belongs to him by the Law of Surprise, which he called in the flashback episode earlier during episode 4, when he saved Duny's life. So you have to imagine that more than 10 years have gone by since that happened. They kind of fudged with the timeline a little bit, but Ciri is supposed to be closer to 13 or 15 years old the second time she meets Geralt in present day. But when Geralt comes back, it's before the fall of Cintra, before Nilfgaard attacks. Queen Calanthe, as you saw, did another 180 and is determined not to let Geralt have her. There's an important reason why. She's kind of an asshole about it, but there is a reason. She tries to pass off the fake. This is totally my granddaughter Ciri. Why don't you take her right now? But by this time, Ciri's mother Pavetta has died, and Duny, her father, is also believed to be dead. They only briefly imply that, so I'm hoping they do another flashback during season 2 to explain. But if they don't make it really clear why everyone thinks that they're dead, I'll include that in a video. But Pavetta, her mother, believed that Ciri would only be safe being raised by her mother in Cintra, so that's the main reason why Ciri was raised by Queen Calanthe. And the main reason why Calanthe doesn't want to let Geralt have her. She's not crazy or anything, the TV show just isn't giving you enough information. So in order to prevent Geralt from taking her and hoping, quote-unquote, to avoid Destiny's wrath, Calanthe has Geralt thrown in the dungeon. But number 7, we find out that Geralt was in the dungeon while Nilfgaard was sacking Cintra. This is all happening on the orders of the usurper king in Nilfgaard. It's not Emperor Emhyr, it's a different character. They never really say what his name is in the books, he's just referred to as the usurper. But he's also the person who's responsible for placing the curse on Duny when Duny was a little boy. So hopefully they'll get into that during season 2. But because that's potentially spoilery, I won't talk about that here. If you have read the books, please don't post spoilers about what's going on with Duny in the books. We don't meet the usurper this season on the show or anything like that. Maybe we'll see him during season 2, but there is a lot of important stuff going on in the background up in Nilfgaard separate from what's happening with Geralt and Ciri down here. Number 6, though, Yennefer meets Vilgefortz, the other mage from the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, and one of the main antagonists from the books, at least in the future. Like I said, they're fudging the timeline a little bit. This is meant to be Vilgefortz before he becomes one of the bigger antagonists. The way the actor is playing him seems kind of ambiguous. I think that's actually in the character of most of the other sorcerers that you meet at the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. Like Stregobor is kind of a terrible person, but he's not any more evil necessarily than a lot of the other bad characters that you meet during the course of the show. But the whole point of the introduction here is a big change to the book story because it's all leading up to the Battle of Sodden Hill and the fall of the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, which I'll talk about in a second. All this episode 7 stuff is really just a lot of table setting to sort of give you background on these characters and sort of introduce them before they become bigger characters during season 2. They give you a sense for what Vilgefortz's personality is. He is a good mage, but he spent a lot of time in campaigns and wars, so he's very hungry for battle. They change a lot of what's going on with the storyline around the Battle of Sodden Hill and the fall of the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, so I don't know if there's any secret shady stuff going on in the background, or if this is just meant to be exactly the way you see it. But number 5, the fall of the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. So the Battle of Sodden Hill on the TV show seems like they're combining a bunch of different book plots together to streamline the fall of the Brotherhood and the rise of the Lodge of Sorceresses, which is like the next big organization of mages that come together in the ashes of the Brotherhood. They make this big deal about Fringilla trying to lure them to Nilfgaard under the auspices that they'll be able to practice magic freely of any rules or restrictions, forbidden magic. All the Fringilla stuff, though, is mostly a big change to the books. The end result for their organization is still the same. They suffer heavy losses, and then even later campaigns from Emperor Emir effectively end the Brotherhood's power. But number 4, the actual Battle of Sodden Hill, the big war that they fight. As stated, this is the stand that the Brotherhood makes against Nilfgaard, mostly because they feel like Nilfgaard is getting too powerful, not because they care about all these neighboring kingdoms. It's not out of a genuine source of compassion or anything like that. They just feel like if Nilfgaard unifies the continent, they'll start placing more rules and restrictions on the Brotherhood, and they don't want anybody telling them what to do. We see that Nilfgaard, the rogue mages, Fringilla fight really dirty, causing heavy casualties. Because what's happening with Geralt and Ciri is right next to this, I think they'll probably address this at the beginning of Season 2, because Geralt knows that Yennefer is fighting at the Battle of Sodden Hill, so he tries to go find her there, but there's all these unmarked graves, so he believes that she's still alive, but doesn't confirm that till a little bit later. Number 3, Fringilla's forbidden magic. It's not so much that they're using super dark magic, it's more that they're ignoring a lot of the safety protocols that the Brotherhood of Sorcerers adhere by to protect themselves and preserve their own lives. All magic comes with a cost. The forbidden aspect of this is that Fringilla is having these random rogue mages working for Nilfgaard completely consume their life force to produce extra powerful magics. Yennefer's power move to burn through the army with that giant area of effect attack isn't forbidden either. It's more about her fully committing herself to the cause, because previously she really just didn't care about what they were doing. She didn't care about the other neighboring kingdoms, any of the kings, any of the people in them. She didn't want to have anything to do with the real world. Part of the reason why she seems so much more naturally powerful than the other mages, as they implied earlier in the season, is because she's half-elven, and elves have a much deeper connection to magic. She's not as naturally powerful as someone like Ciri, who has the Elder Blood, but Yennefer has been training as a witch for decades and decades, and Ciri has no idea how her powers work. Number 2, WTF. This is actually a big one. May not have been totally clear, but Geralt meets his mother, Vicenna. He has all these hallucinations and flashbacks, so if it wasn't clear what's happening here, this is him actually meeting his mother, and it's not just a hallucination. She actually does come to help him here in this moment. And if it wasn't clear, the reason why she looks so young is because she was a sorceress. That's why during the flashbacks when he's a little boy, they never show you what her face looks like, just to make you wonder, oh, wait a minute, she's a sorceress, just like Yennefer and the other ones, so she lives way longer than everyone else. She left Geralt in Kaer Morhen as a child with the Witcher School of the Wolf. But the best explanation that I could give you is that she did care for him, but she felt like she couldn't care for him like a real mother could, and the best chance for him for a good upbringing would be to give him to the School of the Wolf. But the really tricky thing, like I said, nobody on the show is truly evil or truly good, it's all shades of gray. She knew that most children given to the School of the Wolf died during the Trial of Grasses, so she totally understood that there was a really high probability that he could die. They don't really address Geralt's father during these flashbacks, but his father is most likely the warrior Corinne, who appears during this side book outside of the main novels. Maybe we'll see him in a flashback in a future season, but I'm not really expecting it. They don't spend a lot of time devoted to his character in the main novel series. He's just referenced every once in a while, occasionally. But number 1, Geralt and Ciri finally meet each other in the woods near Sodden Hill, and Ciri unleashes her Elder Blood full powers without realizing what's going on. And it's all about their destinies being intertwined the same way that Geralt's destiny with Yennefer is being intertwined. That's also why at the beginning of this episode, you see the 3 sigils on the title screen formed together around each other, because all 3 of their destinies are now intertwined. So they'll probably spend most of the early part of Season 2 catching up on where they've been and what they're going to do next, while all this Nilfgaard and usurper stuff going on in the north sorts itself out, because that is still a very big deal going on in the background. There's all this stuff that's coming up with Vilgefortz's character, Emperor Emir. I don't know how much they're fudging the timeline, so the minute we get some clues about that, I will include it in videos. The TV show has changed a little bit about the way Ciri's powers work, but you kind of get a sense for what may have happened. You're just meant to imagine it in your head, how she just eviscerated all these other people without completely understanding how she used her abilities. The way the games treat her abilities are a little bit different, so I'll probably do a video at some point just explaining how that all works, because you could spend all day talking about how crazy powerful she is. She's like God tier powerful compared to all the other people on the show. But let me know in the comments, what was your favorite moment from the season, and what are you hoping that they do during Season 2? I will do a Season 2 video sometime in the next couple of days, because they won't start shooting for a little while, but we have a pretty good idea for what story they're going to adapt. While you wait for everything, click here for my brand new Star Wars, Baby Yoda, and Mandalorian video, and click here for all my other Witcher Netflix episode videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.